positive.
Okay, we continue in the Rambam. We're at the top of page Pei Aleph in the Rambam La'am, and we are in the Sefiria section 17, subsection 38. We're just going to go over the last 2-3 lines where we ended off before. We're talking about the crazy people keep the world going. And we're talking about people who, when a person, collects some of the money that he sold for, that he sold literally his strength that he could use to complete his soul, he's spending it on getting more gold.
No.
And then he starts giving some to the workers of that gold from his life. To build him a foundation upon the bedrock. To make a wall that lasts 10 years. And he knows that he doesn't even have enough years in his life left to wear out the building made out of reeds. He can't even wear it out.
Oh,
and now he's making like the toughest building imaginable. There's anything as crazy as that, but that's what makes the world go round.
Wait, I have just a question based on this and yesterday. Banting and Best have saved millions of people's lives with insulin. It didn't make them rich. So I don't, what's Banting and Best, they saved millions of people's lives.
Banting and Best. Okay, that's nothing wrong. That's not a question of money. That's a good thing. We're not. I'm just
saying that they're not silly people. We're saying all these billions.
No, we're saying the people that are just spending like crazy for no important purpose are the crazy people. The people who are trying to find the cure for disease are not crazy people, but they're the minority of people in the world. But these guys who want to research and find a cure for a sickness, they can't be spending all the time sewing their clothes. They can't spend all their time building roads and harvesting their fields. They need to be.
I read it again. You just said. Thank you.
Okay, so that's certainly for a goy, Mark. That's good chachma. Spend your life. I mean, a goy has a place in God's world. Hashem never said a goy doesn't have a place, but the place is in a respectable way. That's what he's saying. But just I'm making a lot of money so I could build more luxurious things. That's crazy.
You mean like Jeff Bezos with this blue moon thing? Blue Origin, I think it's called.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, I don't see any value in it, but
Captain Kirk got up to space.
Anyway, let's continue. But it's all for a pleasure. It's not to go in. It's not like let's stretch the NASA program. I mean, there are certain experiments they're able to do, I think, in weightlessness that makes the experiment more accurate or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand, because they're trying to, theoretically, if it's true, to make life better for people.
Right. So
okay.
We say going on the moon is lunacy?
Well, again, I don't.
Lunacy.
It was lunacy.
Very good. I love it.
Lunacy.
Very good. Very good.
And I don't know if going to the moon per se would be so important. It could be space can provide certain. I don't know if having to go to the moon would be the solution to that. I don't know if they couldn't have found.
What would we have said?
Just to do something incredible. You don't do something just because it's incredible. You have to find it. You have to do something that's for a tachlis. Again, I'm not expert enough to know all the NASA details of life. I just don't. But certainly there are certain things that we need to be involved with space, especially now with China. Trump made a space force because we may have to defend ourselves from attack from space, from other people using space to attack you. So that's certainly something you would need. That's valuable things, but just things for the heck of it. So, I'm not educated enough in that topic. If the whole point was just to say to go to the moon, but really all the major experiments are just done in a state of weightlessness, so what do you got to go to the moon for? Just to say reversed? I mean, unless they got something valuable from the moon. I don't know. I can't comment. I don't know. You guys can look up.
It was political originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, but political is nourished. It's who controls space. That's important. Controlling space is important. Having satellites in space, that's important because then you can see, you can spy on other people, you can protect yourself. You can do a lot of things. There's a lot of these things, guided missiles, I think, have something to do with space or things like that. So there are definitely things. But for example, we're going to have to leave Earth and go to Mars. That's a shtus.
Well, then
What, Rabbi, what would we have said about Columbus 600 years ago? That it was a stress to go to North America?
we didn't know he was going there.
He wasn't planning. He just
Where
wanted
did he
to.
Okay, but I mean,
Again,
whatever.
you know what? That's what we say, Paul. Let the Meshuggahers go there. And when they settle it, then we'll come. Okay, but
If you build,
going out into space, that's a bit of a stretch, and I just can't see there's anything worthwhile.
I can see Howard, though. We see Howard.
Yes. I can't see if they think we have trouble living on planet Earth to go to a place where there's no air, not a good idea. It's much less habitable in Mars than it is on planet Earth. Okay, let's get in. And all the pleasures of this world, devoid of spirituality, it's silliness, it's foolishness, gomer complete. But it's a cause for the inhabitation of the world. Therefore, our rabbi said, someone who doesn't have wisdom, we talk about real wisdom, he's called an am ha'aretz. Now, why do they give him the term am ha'aretz? Because where do you get from the words, translate the words exactly, the
nation
people,
of the earth.
the people of the earth. What's so ignorant about that? It's there's a lot of easier words to say you're ignorant. You're a ksil. You're a fool. You're uneducated. Why it's amoris? Because klomer. So why are they here? It's telling us their purpose. It's not a pejorative. It's the purpose. Ki'im liyishav aretz. They're here to fill the earth. Therefore, their name is associated with the earth. We look at an amoretz from the negative. Amoretz, he's ignorant. That's not what the word amoretz means. Because everything in this world has a purpose. Has a purpose. What's his purpose? To inhabit the earth, to make the earth more usable for the chachamim. And that's how they help them. So as much as we would consider amoretz as a pejorative, the Rambam is teaching us it's, as we would say, judging people favorably and saying he has a purpose. Without amoratzim, Talmidei Chachamim could not be Talmidei Chachamim. Honestly, you need a lot of amoratzim to make the world livable so that the Talmid Chacham doesn't have to waste his time on that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So now he's going to ask the question, but wait a minute. Okay, I get it. So all us amoratzim, we're building the world so that tzaddik is able to live as a tzaddik and be a chacham and develop, and we're all for him. Got it. But we do see sometimes it's not that way. The Yomer Ish, a person's going to ask, we see an idiot and a fool. He's totally disengaged from the world. Lo yigaba, he doesn't exert himself. And others serve him. When he's asking basokov, and they're busy with his needs. And it could even be to such an extent, it could be it's a guy who's smart, but has no parnasa, is going to have to work for this person. So now we're going to think, well, what's going on over here? Everything seems to be upside down. So he's going to say, it's not like you think. Now, what he means is a lot of meanings over here. Let me explain. It could mean we're talking about the fool and the silly person, the very rich man, and he has people making him big, big palaces. Why? Just for show.
Yeah.
Just for show. Now, he thinks he's smart. He has a 27,000 square foot home for him and his wife and the dog. Right? But you're an idiot. Like, you're spending all that on that? And guess what? He has some frum rabbis who can't make parnasa are building it for him. Or let's try another possibility. Let's say, something like, let's say the homes that Rena builds.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're building it for people who are halachically considered a shaita and a ksil.
Exactly.
And you're not really from, I'm trying to word this properly, from a pragmatic perspective, doing anything to make the world better. I'm not saying that it's a chesed and all that stuff. That's important, and those are good things. And I'm not saying that. But we're talking about a person who is mamish not capable of being a chacham, and we're spending so much time to build things for them. Like, what's the purpose? I understand if he's a chacham. So, okay, so I guess the Rambam, I don't know why the Rambam couldn't just say, well, that's called chesed, man. And working the world of chesed is an important thing. But I think he's saying, yeah, but should the chacham be involved in that too? So in other words, you don't really see any practical benefit for, like, let's put it this way, the people that are mentally incompetent, the world was not created for them. I mean, they're part of the world. We have to take care of them. The whole Torah says you have to have chesed to them. No question about it. But can you say they're the purpose of the world? Or the wealthy who are just blowing their money? So where do you see the purpose? So he's saying, Ein adavar kasher yachshav. That's not like you think. Shemenuchas haksil, that this leisure of the fool, hahu kamokein oved umechen atovahu, it still will prepare something good. To who Hashem wants to give. And what is that? He's going to say like this. Even though the fool rests because he has so much money, or rechush or possessions. And Yitzavel those Armon Klil Yofi, and he tells his servants to buy the most biggest palace imaginable. They told Kerem Chashim to build huge vineyards, like the kings have, ostentatious through the roof. Doesn't seem to be much purpose. But guess what? How do you know? Wow. Maybe this palace is designated 50, 60 years from now. This is the famous Rambam, one of the most famous Rambams of all his writings. There'll be a pious person who will come at the end of days. And he will shelter himself by a wall that gives him shade. He was mamish dying from overheat and exhaustion. And that'll be the one reason why he lives. As it says in Eov, Rosh Yachin, the evil doer may prepare, but for tzaddik yilbash, but the tzaddik wears it. Or, or he's going to take a cup of wine from the vineyard to make a salve that's called trayaka. And what is that for? It's a potion. A healthy person gets bit by a viper. Oh, no. He's going to be poisoned. And this type of grapes are able to make an antidote for it. Oh. That's the way God guides the world with his wisdom. He has all kinds of distance plans like a master craftsman.
Wasn't like the
and this is a famous story with the Mir Yeshiva. The Mir Yeshiva, this rabbi wanted in the early 1900s to build a big yeshiva in Shanghai. And
he got a wealthy
donor. He builds a shul, and it was empty. It was empty for years. Yeah. And then the Mir Yeshiva, 200 Bachram or so, they leave. They have to go through Shanghai. They're stuck. Where are they going to learn? No base medrash. Empty shul for them. So that's why all these things.
The whole war.
There's a purpose. With this whole thing, just have a little bit of shade. And Hashem planned that 25 years in advance that they should have such a thing. So therefore, even if we're building things for the Meshuggahers or whatever, don't think there isn't a purpose for them. Now,
also say the purpose of these people that are not mentally competent, the purpose is for us
to do chesed with them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Rambam, avoids that. I don't know why, but he's trying to bring home this point.
Maybe he's just not.
That even if let's say regular rich people, So I think if you're dealing with the people that are disadvantaged, okay, then that itself is a purpose. I get that. Yeah. But it might not be a purpose for the Talmud Chacham. It's better that he should learn. But still, it'll have far-ranging purposes. That's the point.
No, I just want to say, because, we don't want to be, God forbid, I'm not saying he's doing it, but, Nazi Germany would just kill people. Like
No,
that,
so we don't kill them, for
you
sure
know?
not.
So
But
the
it just
the
doesn't
purpose
seem,
is for us
right,
to be more
right, so,
humane, to
okay,
be more godly.
right, correct, no question about it,
Okay.
so could be
So
the.
is there any difference between doing a chesed for a poor person and doing a chesed for a mentally handicapped person?
No,
It's the
so
same
I'm
chesed
saying-
for
I
us.
agree, but that's not the main focus of this Rambam.
I get it, I get it.
The main
It's just
focus
trying
is
to
the
go
rich
like
man wants to blow his money on a palace, and there's no purpose for that palace. That is, I would say, the simple shot. Now, this will Gemara and Brachas that we did a couple of weeks ago. Amar ki ben Zoma hayomed al harabais. Ben Zoma was sitting on the Temple Mount. V'ro Yisrael. Sha'ulim lachog. He sees the Jews going up to celebrate the holiday, and he said, Baruch Shabara Kolel Shaseni. Blessed is God who created all these people to serve me. Why? Ki haya al Hashem yachur. He was the singular one of his generation. Ben Zoma was the biggest tzaddik around. He said, they're serving me not from an egotistical point of view. Thank God all these people can take care of all my needs so I can spend my time learning Torah. That's what he meant. Not to be my servants per se, but they're doing their things for their goals in life. And they want to make money and all these things. You know, some may have lofty ideas, some may not have any lofty ideas at all. But at the end of the day, it all benefits me. And that's why we should appreciate all the people that are in the world. And therefore, you know, if somebody has a quote unquote demeaning kind of job, quote unquote garbage collector, you should be very grateful to the garbage collector. Baruch Hashem, imagine if you'd have to take it to a landfill,
I'd say, how did I see that?
you know, and they're probably making more money than a lot of other people I know.
Thank God.
But anyway, you know, any of these things, you know, you might look, you know, oh, it's a blue collar.
Ein- Einstein worked in the patent office before he went on to do other things.
Yeah, okay.
Baal Shem Tov used to watch
kids. Blue collar jobs are important. Somebody's got to do it, and you should be very grateful that they're doing it. And therefore, you're able to do other things. So that's the first reason why are there people who don't seem to be the goal of creation. Now he has a second reason, which is a much more, the first one is like very practical. Like you can mamish, it's concrete and practical. Second one's a little bit more, you got to think a little more. It's a little more subtle. What's another reason when there's people without wisdom? Since people of wisdom are very few, and that's for God's divine reasons why he does this. We don't ask questions why God didn't make more people smart. We don't say why the original wisdom decided why does Hashem do it this way. Just like why there are 9 planets, or 9 spheres rather, 9 spheres and 7 planets. Rambam says 7 planets. But so is there 4 basic elements: earth, fire, wind, and water. Because that's the way Hashem had to have it from the first. We're not going to ask these questions. However, still in all, but the rabbis told us, they already explained. What did Rav Shimon Bar Yochai say about the people of his generation? Even though many of them were very honored people, they're big scholars in this Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. He still says, Ra'isi b'nei aliyah, I'm looking at the people who grow, they ascend, tzaddikim, ve'muatim. And there's really not that many. And could be, im shnaim heim, if there's only 2, he said, Heimani u'b'nai heim. It's me and my son Eliezer. Now, what does he mean? So what's he saying? And Valkei Nivramo, so why are all the people there? Give companies to the sages that they should not be desolate. Man is not an island. A human being, no matter a normal chacham, not, don't misunderstand me here, not an Einstein type of chacham, you know, not a guy who's just, you know, just loves numbers and isn't interested in people. You understand what I'm saying? A normal person, as they say, people need people. You want to say hello to somebody. You don't want to be on a desert island. Okay. So to give them company, there's an emotional need. A normal person needs people. Now you might say, you might think, Shazos hatoelas ketana. That's not such a big deal, not such a big benefit. No, it's necessary. It's more important than the first. Wow. Why did God leave wicked people in Eretz Yisrael when the Jews conquered the land? So there'd be some kind of company to remove the desolation of the pious souls of Hasidim. As it says, Hashem told the Jews before they went there, Eretz Yisrael, I'm not going to chase out all the nations in 1 year, unless the land becomes so desolate. Can you imagine, if there be nobody in the world except a few Talmidei Chachamim? You understand what's going to happen? The trees are going to grow, the grass is going to grow. It's a desolate world. It's like a wasteland. And a human being needs to see people who are doing things, even if he's a Russia. It's in a certain way better to ever show him than nobody in the world. Person wants to feel he's part of a world. And he's saying, and I'm saying, it could even be more important than the first reason. Although you might think Chachamim don't need people, Rambam's telling you otherwise. And the Rambam certainly, you look at people like, again, the Rambam, the only way you can get some idea, the littlest idea of the Rambam, is look at the life of Rabbi Yossi. You look at that. He was Kulo Torah. And yet, he was such a geschmacka person with people.
Yeah.
He loved people. And you think, how could a guy he was a photographic mind, encyclopedic mind, razor sharp brains. And he loved people. Because let's think about this. Let's think about it for a minute. If there weren't people, who is he writing his Shilas and Chubas for? Do you know, what kind of Torah he wrote? You know what he had to do after the Yom Kippur War? Hundreds of agunos. Hundreds in Eretz Yisrael. And he had to really rack his brains to go through all the Torah to find and figure how can I have a legitimate kula that he could be comfortable giving for hundreds and hundreds of agunos. Now, what if there are no people around?
They need to do that.
That whole realm of Torah, what does he have to learn it for? And he's writing it. So because there's a purpose to what I'm writing, there's a purpose to my chachma. Look how much I'm helping people. Now, what would you do if there were no people? Here's the Torah and learn it all. For what? It's no application. It's no shilas. So that's the point. We need to have people to make life real. They said, my kizeh kolam, the end of Koheles. This is all man. Mar says, what does it mean? Kolam kulam the whole world is only created to give company to this fellow. Pirish lahaser itzpano so to remove sadness and desolation from a solitary state. And now we come almost to the end of the answer.
No.
So based on everything we said, what's the purpose of creating even though it's transitory? It's for that complete person who has both the intelligence backed by actions, as we said. And if you reflect and learn from these words that they said, these two concepts the human being has to have, wisdom and the actions that accompany from that. As we have explained for a Muslim, we hinted to, Taylor, you now will understand. It's very good what the rabbi said this we started with last week. Hashem only has the 4 amos of halacha. You come there and say, okay, so what's the answer? Remember, he's giving you an example of a chazal we wouldn't understand so well. And we're saying, well, I don't understand. What was before halacha? Weren't there people like, Shem and Aver and this? There was Hashem had no interest in this world. So I think it becomes clear what he's saying. His interest was always in having the tzaddik in the world. Hashem's interest is Who are the tzaddikim in the world? That's what it's all about. But now if you understand the Rambam, see, this is where the commentary in the Rambam La'am in Os Vav says, when you look in his book, Mishne Torah, Rambam does not uses the same term for mitzvahs that you have to understand and mitzvahs that you have to do. Both of them, he calls them halachos. In other words, the mitzvahs of thought, like emunah in Hashem and stuff like that, and thinking mitzvahs or doing mitzvahs, he always calls them halacha, because halacha means movement. You move forward. You learning is learning alone. That's a halacha, because it moves you. Doing what the Torah says, that's a halacha. He considers that all halacha. So from the time the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, and from the Beis HaMikdash, that's where halacha came from, right? We had Kohanim, we had the Sanhedrin, where we had halacha was learned and actions were done. That was the quintessential place of the purpose of the world, was the Beis HaMikdash during that time. But now Hashem doesn't have that. So what does he have? He has the 4 amas of halacha, meaning to say, halacha is the only refuge of the Shekhinah and Hashem's interest and his focus. That's where the focus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. That's what it means. It doesn't mean the four amas of halacha in a Gemara and a Chumash. It means the people who have incorporated the real halacha of learning and doing and being the purpose of the world. That's what Hashem's world is all about. And we had a Beis HaMikdash. It was a lot easier to perceive that idea. The whole world went to the Beis HaMikdash, but the purpose was the Beis HaMikdash. Now we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. So we need people who live like the Beis HaMikdash. And that's such a difficult concept. And this was only being hinted in that idea. And now that he said that, now that I've gone off topic, I know I went off topic. Shenu is asking about that we're into. It's fun, but I had to bring this anyway. They make our faith in Hashem much better. It arouses us to want chachma. And it's not a small thing, as I see. And now he says, but now we're going to come back to our topic, and we will come back to the topic tomorrow. Ravina Ravashi, closing the Talmud, he's going to bring it straight up until the Rambam's time. And then we'll have an interesting philosophical discussion maybe tomorrow. Okay, shkoyach, everybody. Have a great night.
Everybody. Thank you.